Please remain standing for the vice-regal salute and the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land, glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please be seated.
Thank you. That was beautiful. So, good morning, Honorable Premier, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As Her Majesty the Queen's representative, it is my pleasure to join you in this ceremony and to officially welcome Alberta's newest ministers to their cabinet posts. Serving as an elected official in any capacity is a challenging job. And the demands that you face only increase with the added responsibilities that come with serving as a Minister of the Crown. To our new cabinet ministers, you are about to take on the vital work of guiding our province through the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead. The work that you do as members of Executive Council will directly shape the quality of life enjoyed by Albertans today and for generations to come. While it's a considerable task, I think that you will agree there is nothing greater than satisfaction in life than serving the place and the people that you love. I trust that you will devote the best of your energy and abilities to the vital work that lies ahead. So, to Premier Notley and continuing members of the Cabinet, thank you for your many, many contributions to date and for your ongoing service to Alberta. Finally, to the friends and the families, members here today, I would like to thank you for your support and encouragement that you've offered and will continue to offer your loved ones as they take on this essential work of leading our province. So congratulations to all, and do enjoy the day.
So thank you very much, Your Honor. Before introducing our new members of Executive Council, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional territory of the Indigenous people who were and are part of Treaty 6. I would now ask the following to step forward to swear the oath of Executive Council. Richard Feehan, Christina Gray, Stephanie McLean, Ricardo Miranda, Marlon Schmidt, and Brandy Payne.
So I have a letter from the Premier recommending new members of the Executive Council and members of the Executive Council with a new role, and I have accepted her recommendations. So you have now introduced these, our guests and the new members of Executive Council. So I will now administer the oath of Executive Council. So please repeat, so help me God, or I do solemnly affirm at the close of the oath. You, Richard John Freehan, Christina Gray, Stephanie Veronica McLean, Ricardo Miranda, Marlon Robert Schmidt, Brandy Lynn Payne, do solemnly promise and swear that you will serve Her Majesty truly and faithfully in the place of her council in this Her Majesty's province of Alberta. You will keep close and secret all such matters as shall be treated, debated, and resolved in Executive Council, without publishing or disclosing the same or any part thereof by word, writing, or any otherwise to any person out of the same council, but to such only as be of the council. And yet, if any matter so propounded, treated, and debated in any such Executive Council shall touch any particular person sworn of the same council upon any such matter as shall in any wise concern their loyalty and fidelity to the Queen Majesty, you will in no wise open the same to them, but keep it secret, as you would any person, until the Queen's Majesty pleasure be known in that behalf. You will in all things to be moved, treated, and debated in any such Executive Council faithfully, honestly, and truly declare your mind and opinion to the honor and benefit of the Queen's Majesty and the good of her subjects, without partiality or exception of persons. In no wise forbearing so to do from any manner of respect, favor, love, meed, displeasure, or dread of any person or persons whatsoever. In general, you will be vigilant, diligent, and circumspect in all your doing touching the Queen's Majesty affairs, all which matters and things you will faithfully observe and keep, as a good counselor ought to do, to the utmost of your power, will, and discretion. So help you God, or I do solemnly affirm. So if you would now come and repeat, so help me God, or solemnly affirm after that.
Solemnly affirm.
Okay, members will now subscribe to the oath by signing the Executive Council roll book.
So, Your Honor, I would now ask that the Honourable Sarah Hoffman, Deputy Premier, step forward and take the oath of office.
Sarah, I would ask you to take the oath of office and subscribe to the same in the Executive Council roll book.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I, Sarah Hoffman, do solemnly and sincerely promise and affirm that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my skill and knowledge execute the powers and trusts reposed to me as the Deputy Premier for the province of Alberta.
I will now read the commission aloud, and I just want you all to know that in the sake of time, this will only be read once instead of 7 more times. So, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom, Canada, and her and other realms on the... Can I get my glasses? Sorry about this. Thank you very much. I'll to start again. Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom, Canada, and her other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith, to all to whom these presents shall come, greeting. Know ye that having confidence in the loyalty, integrity, and the ability of the Honourable Sarah Marjorie Hoffman of Edmonton in the province of Alberta, I under and by virtue of the power in me vested in that behalf, do appoint her, the said Honourable Sarah Marjorie Hoffman, to be Deputy Premier for the province of Alberta, to have and to hold with all and every the powers, privileges, authority, and advantages to the said office of Deputy Premier by right and by law appertaining. In testimony whereof I have caused these letters to be made patent, and the great seal of the province of Alberta to be hereunto affixed. So this is witnessed by the Honourable Lois Mitchell, Lieutenant Governor of the province of Alberta and our city of Edmonton, in our said province the 2nd day of February 2016, and in the 64th year of Her Majesty's reign. By command.
All righty. I would now ask the Honourable Laurie Sigurdsson, Minister of Seniors and Housing, to please step forward to take the oath of office.
So I will ask you to take the oath of office and subscribe to the same in the Executive Council roll book.
I, Laurie Dawn Sigurdsson, do solemnly and sincerely promise and affirm that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my skill and knowledge execute the powers and trusts reposed to me as Minister of Seniors and Housing for the province of Alberta.
Your Honour, I would now ask the Honourable Richard Feehan, Minister of Indigenous Relations, to please step forward to take the oath of office.
So I I would ask you to take the oath of office and subscribe to the same in the Executive Council roll book.
I, Richard John Fian, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will duly and faithfully, and to the best of my skill and knowledge, execute the powers and trusts reposed in me as Minister of Indigenous Relations for the province of Alberta, so help me God.
Your Honor, I would now ask the Honourable Christina Gray, Minister of Labour and Minister responsible for Democratic Renewal, to please step forward to take the oath of office.
I would ask that you take the oath of office and subscribe to the same in the Executive Council roll book.
I, Christina Gray, do solemnly and sincerely promise and affirm that I will duly and faithfully, and to the best of my skill and knowledge, execute the powers and trusts reposed in me as Minister of Labour and Minister responsible for Democratic Renewal for the province of Alberta.
Your Honor, I would now ask the Honourable Stephanie McLean, Minister of Service Alberta and Minister of Status of Women, to please step forward and take the oath of office.
I, Stephanie Veronica McLean, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will duly and faithfully, and to the best of my skill and knowledge, execute the powers and trusts reposed in me as Minister of Service Alberta and Minister of Status of Women for the province of Alberta. So help me God.
Your Honor, I would now ask the Honourable Ricardo Miranda, Minister of Culture and Tourism, to please step forward to take the oath of office.
I would ask that you take the oath of office and subscribe to the same in the Executive Council roll book.
Oh, you have to go to the roll call first.
I have to sign the book?
Yeah, that's right. Now you
Get used to it.
I see what awaits for me. I, Ricardo Miranda, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will duly and faithfully, and to the best of my skill and knowledge, execute the powers and trusts reposed in me as Minister of Culture and Tourism for the province of Alberta, so help me God.
Your Honor, I would now ask the Honourable Martin Schmidt, Minister of Advanced Education, to please step forward to take the oath of office.
I would ask you to take the oath of office and subscribe to the same in the Executive Council roll book.
I, Marlon Robert Schmidt, do solemnly and sincerely promise and affirm that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my skill and knowledge execute the powers and trusts reposed in me as Minister of Advanced Education for the province of Alberta.
And Your Honor, I would now ask the Honourable Brandy Payne, Associate Minister of Health, to please step forward to take the oath of office.
I would ask that you take the oath of office and subscribe to sing an Executive Council roll call.
I, Brandy Lynn Payne, do solemnly and sincerely promise and affirm that I will duly and faithfully, and to the best of my skill and knowledge, execute the powers and trusts reposed in me as Associate Minister of Health for the province of Alberta.
All rise, please, for the departure of the Vice-Regal Bird.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I would now ask our Deputy Premier to lead her colleagues up to the Alberta room. Deputy Premier. I would also invite our guests to make their way up to the second floor for some light refreshments. We will be resetting this space to accommodate the media veil shortly. Thank you very much.
All right. See if we can bring this little thing to order.
Thanks for your patience, everyone. I'll just run through one more time how this is going to work. The Premier will make her remarks, and then she will be pleased to take your questions from the podium. The questions in this portion will be only for the Premier so that we don't have to move people in and out of the microphone space. And then should you wish to interview Cabinet Ministers following the program, we're happy to accommodate Scrum-style interviews. Take it away.
All right. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming. It's a tremendous honor to stand before you today at the head of my newly expanded cabinet. When our government was elected, we promised to bring change to Alberta, and part of the change involved government itself. Last May, I introduced a cabinet that truly reflected the diversity of our province's population, including the first gender-balanced cabinet in Alberta history. I'm proud to say that this latest shift builds on our achievement. The seats around the cabinet table remain gender balanced, and they're filled by people who are more representative of the diversity of Albertans than ever before. Alberta now has a cabinet with the capacity to implement the robust policy agenda we've set out over the past several months. This includes our groundbreaking climate leadership plan, our efforts around market access, the investments we're making in an infrastructure, for example, the need to focus on building affordable housing projects in partnership with our federal and municipal colleagues. And we'll also be focused on our government's plan for job creation and economic growth and diversification. We know that in difficult economic conditions like we're dealing with now, Albertans rely more heavily on social programs, and that key social portfolios like education and advanced education will support economic recovery and diversification. In our new cabinet, these priorities, the priorities of Albertans, will get the attention that they deserve. So I want to thank the continuing members of our cabinet, many of whom have been until now holding 2 portfolios at once. When I announced our government's first cabinet after the election, some people said it would never work, that there was just too much work to do for such a small group. But you guys, you proved them wrong, and I want to congratulate each and every one of you on your outstanding work in the face of enormous pressure. Thank you all for doing such a fantastic job. Our new expanded cabinet will let our ministers, all of them, focus their skills, their talents, and their time more precisely. And it will allow our government more opportunity for us to listen to Albertans as we navigate these challenging times. Now, you may have noticed that there is another group of Albertans visibly represented in this cabinet. We know that our population includes hardworking parents with young children. And I'm proud today that we will be appointing 2 MLAs to cabinet who will welcome new additions to families this year. Stephanie McLean will welcome her baby this month and become the first sitting MLA in Alberta to give birth. And our new Associate Minister of Health, Brandy Payne, is also expecting a baby this year. These 2 women are taking on the careful task of balancing their political careers with their family lives. And I know that our cabinet and our government, as a result, will be stronger with their representation. Having a breadth of experience in cabinet is crucial because all members will be charged with reaching out to Albertans. We need to understand the issues that Albertans face if we're to develop the right policies. And I realize that shaping those policies won't be easy. We've set ourselves a demanding agenda, but the circumstances that our province is dealing with require no less of that from their government, and neither do Albertans. I have the utmost confidence in my new cabinet team. They are highly skilled, incredibly dedicated men and women. And together with caucus and the hardworking members of the public service, I believe we are up to the task. So thank you very much, and I'm very happy to take questions.
Premier, if the old cabinet was getting the job done, as you said, why expand it, especially when money's tight?
Because we're at a point now where we need to. I mean, it was never our plan to keep the cabinet that size. It's about 2/3 of the next smallest cabinet that we've ever had in Alberta. And it was our plan to focus on our priorities and get a lay of the land and establish a key overarching framework. And then now we're in the position where we're going to get more of that work done. The other thing that's really important is that at a time like this, when we are navigating difficult times, it's very important for us to be able to hear from Albertans, to meet with Albertans, to be available to important stakeholders across the province. And quite frankly, we need to expand the cabinet in order to allow for that to happen. It is difficult for that to happen when a minister is carrying 2 or in some cases more portfolios. So we're hoping that we've struck the right balance of ensuring that our cabinet will have the time now to be able to engage even more substantively with members of the public.
Premier, why appoint a deputy premier, and what role do you see that person serving?
Yeah. Well, I think that, there's our agenda over the course of the next while is going to involve a lot of work not only in Alberta but outside of Alberta. We know that a number of Alberta's critical interests are impacted by what happens nationally. And so as Premier, I'm going to be leading a lot of that work, as I already do as the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs. So it's important to have a deputy in place to be able to take my place in the legislature when the House is sitting, if that becomes necessary, or to run cabinet meetings, quite frankly, if I'm not able to be there. We have a lot of work to do, and it's important to be able to ensure that we have enough people at the table to get that work done.
Minister, what measures are being taken for when Ms. McLean is away on maternity leave?
Well, basically, she's going to be getting up to speed in terms of the duties of her new job. The 2 ministers who previously held those portfolios will be the backup ministers for those 2 portfolios. And I know that Minister McLean will be hoping to come back to work as soon as possible after she's had her baby. But of course, you have to see how things go. But we're going to accommodate that and ensure that we are a place where women can engage fully in the opportunities for leadership that all Albertans want and need to see them adopt. And so that's what we're going to do with Stephanie. So it's a bit of new ground, but I believe that we're going to be able to make it work.
Can I just shift ground for a bit, Minister? Justin Trudeau tomorrow, what's going to be on the agenda? What message do you want to send to him tomorrow?
Well, I'm very pleased that he's coming here, and certainly where I'm going to spend a lot of time just sort of through different forums, taking every opportunity to ensure that he understands what Albertans know and the rest of Canada is starting to get to realize, but maybe not to the same degree that Albertans know, which is that our economic security, the sense of security in our communities, frankly, the sense of security in individual Alberta families has been really undermined by the drop in the price of oil. And that Alberta, it's done a lot of heavy lifting for the country as a whole over the last many years. And now is the time when we need our federal government to come here and to work with us, to support us during the difficult times that we're facing, including, a number of different things that will be discussed. But as you know, one key priority for me is to continue to make the point that we need to get our product to Tidewater if we're going to be able, on behalf of Albertans and behalf of all Canadians, to get the best return for this resource that we have in our province.
How important was it to see more Calgary representation in this cabinet?
Well, I think that, it's important to reflect as much of the province as we can. And so, I'm happy that we were able to draw equally from the 2 major population centres in the province. And, we know that Calgary, as I was just talking about, we talk about how Alberta understands the impact of the price of oil dropping more than the rest of Canada. Frankly, Calgary probably started feeling it even a little bit earlier than the rest of Alberta. And so we need to know that we have the opportunity for our cabinet to be available to key stakeholders and community leaders across the city of Calgary to ensure that their concerns are heard as much as everyone else's.
Premier, you've had 3 Indigenous Affairs ministers since May. Is that sending a message to the Aboriginal community, You had you were Aboriginal Affairs Minister when it began?
No, I don't think I was. I think that was the former Premier who was a Minister of Aboriginal Affairs. I believe that Minister Ganley has been the minister since we established the cabinet, since we were sworn in. So this will be the second one.
So this minister now has sole responsibility for this portfolio. Are you sending a message with that?
What I'm sending the message is that is that Indigenous affairs are critically important to our government, and it requires a great deal of time and a great deal of effort to meet with Indigenous leaders, not just in our offices, but in their communities, and to go around the province and to take the time to be able to work with them on a nation-to-nation basis on a collaborative, respectful way. And so that is something that requires the very devoted and considered focus of a minister, and so that's why I've established a standalone minister responsible for it. And I believe that Minister Fian, with his background in terms of being able to work well with different stakeholder groups, will be well placed to be able to build on the relationship and the work that Minister Ganley has already completed.
We have two last questions from the floor, one from Michelle and then one from Dean.
Premier, I believe when you were elected, you said you were going to have a smaller cabinet. Now you're up to the size that Alison Redford's cabinet was, I believe.
No. This is actually the smallest cabinet since the 90s. It continues to actually be on the very small end of Alberta cabinets. And so we will continue to take a very careful and cautious approach to the size of cabinet. But there's an important balance that needs to be respected, which is the need to have the literal hours in the day to meet with Albertans and to respond to Albertans' desires to hear about the things that matter to them and to make their representations to us. So that's why I hope that we've managed to strike that balance while still having, as I said, the smallest cabinet that has been in place in Alberta since the 90s.
Last question. Premier, why did you feel the need to move democratic renewal up to cabinet status, and what do you hope to accomplish in that new position?
Well, we know that there's going to be that there already has been and will continue to be remarkably good work done by the All-Party Committee on Democratic Renewal. And we know that they're going to examine a very broad scope of issues that are important to Albertans on the issues of democratic renewal, whether we're talking about election financing, whether we're talking about other transparency issues, whether we're talking about, there's just a broad range. And so Minister Gray has already engaged quite a bit in that issue over the course of the last several months as the chair of that committee. So it seemed reasonable to task her with the job of moving forward on the recommendations that come from that committee. And I suspect that it won't all happen at once. I suspect that there'll be recommendations that come over time. And so we just thought it would make sense, since she's spent a lot of time talking to Albertans, talking to her colleagues in all parties about these really important issues, that she continue to play a lead role on it.
Premier, we just had two callers join the queue from out of Edmonton, so we'll take those calls now. Operator, could you put the first caller?
Yes, it's from Rick Bell from the line of Sun Media. Your line is open.
Good morning, Premier. I just wanted to know a little bit more about what you're going to be looking for out of the visit from the Prime Minister, since he's signaled that there will be aid for Alberta. And since we're a province that is still paying into equalization, how substantial do you want the help to be, and what kind of help from the federal government? Again, particularly since we're still net contributors to Confederation, even in the state we're in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it's going to be a broad-ranging discussion. There's a number of different platforms within which the federal government can assist us. Some of them were mentioned by the federal government themselves in comments to the media. And then, of course, we know that they're moving forward, or they're very interested in partnering with us on key infrastructure investment. And then, of course, as I've said, issues around supporting families where job loss has occurred. And then also so importantly is the issue of getting our product to Tidewater and pipeline access. So there's a broad range of issues. I don't want to predetermine the state of them at this point, but I will say that the message will be delivered very, very clearly that Alberta needs the support of our federal government. We have truly been a fundamental part of the Canadian economy, doing some very heavy lifting for a very long time. I believe that our province will continue to be that. I believe that the national economy and the strength of the national economy will be measured by but we need the support of our colleagues across the country in the next.
Following, I have two questions. One, just following on what Rick asked. In relation to the Trudeau visit, there's been a lot of call on the federal government, the federal Liberal government, to specifically back energy projects such as Energy East. The Conservatives have called for that. Do you think it's appropriate? Is that something that you would want to see the Prime Minister do, is specifically back a project like Energy East?
Well, I think that what we need is for the federal government to fully understand the importance of Alberta, and to a lesser extent, and to an extent as well other provinces, to get our natural resources to Tidewater so that we can diversify our markets. I appreciate that the federal government is wanting the approval process to function more independently, to adhere to some of the additional considerations that they've injected into that approval process. And so I understand that their view is that if they come out ahead of it and start saying things, it starts to question that process. That being said, my hope is that the process, while being rigorous, is also not unduly delayed and is effective and efficient, so that we can move forward to actually getting these decisions made, because this really is a critical time for the country as a whole in terms of whether or not we are going to present ourselves to the world as a nation that's capable of effectively extracting, producing, and marketing our energy products in a progressive and thoughtful way.
Premier, just on the shuffle, and I apologize if this was asked earlier, the news conference has started a little earlier than I expected. Naming a deputy premier from Edmonton, and you're from Edmonton, I think the tradition more in the past has been to have a bit more geographical diversity in terms of naming a deputy premier. I guess, did that play across your mind at all when you appointed that position? I mean, do you think, is this going to be problematic at all, or?
I think that we, of course, I was very pleased that of the 6 additions to Cabinet today, that 3 of them were from Calgary. So I think that we are certainly continuing to keep an eye on ensuring that the interests and the concerns of Calgarians are well represented around our Cabinet table. The fact of the matter is there's, I have a very capable Cabinet, and a number of people could have filled the role of Deputy Premier, but I happen to believe that Minister Hoffman will be very well placed to do the kind of work that I described earlier in terms of filling in for me when I'm not here, and leading our Cabinet meetings occasionally as needed. So I think that I'm very pleased about the choice, and there's always a lot of different factors that you consider in these cases, but I'm absolutely confident that Minister Hoffman has the leadership skills necessary to fill this role.
That concludes the formal program today. Thanks, everyone.